All right. All right. Make sure everybody can hear us in the chat. Wait till some chats come in. What's good, Loco?
Chilling, baby. Trying to survive this crisis. Trying to contain myself within these 4 walls here.
Hey, look, I got your text message. I forgot to. It's just not a priority for me today, but I got it. I'm on it.
I figured. Been around long enough.
Remind me tomorrow.
I got you, bro.
We got people in the room. Scott McKee is in here. We got Josh. We got Picasso. Cool, familiar faces.
Oh, what's going on, guys? Everybody.
Hi, guys. So we are doing part 2 of opening a barbershop. Loco, you were not here the last one. The last time we went over the spreadsheets, went over, building out a barbershop, your budget, forecasting it pretty much, and Perez was on here with us, so he gave us a little bit of insight of the process of opening a shop from that angle, and Danny did too. And then today we were hoping to answer any questions from people who had questions about the spreadsheet, if they were playing with it at all, but also negotiating a lease, what that process is like, because I'm trash at it. But Danny's a monster at it, and Danny is funny because he's a monster at negotiating in any aspect. If you want a new go-kart, have Danny go purchase it.
For sure. Get it for the low. Probably get it for free.
So true story. I walked into Sears early in my marriage, and we had just bought our first house, and we were buying all new appliances. And so we were buying, washer, dryer, a range, just a bunch of appliances. We were going to spend stupid amount of money. And, the guy negotiated some pricing, and we got everything on sale and stuff. And I'm like, hey, can you figure out how we can get whatever the number was, $2,000. I'm like, hey, can we get it for like $1,800? Guy's like, what? I'm like, yeah, can you call the manager and see if you can do it for $1,800? No. Just can you call your manager out here? So the manager comes out. Like, look, I bought my first house and I'm trying to get all this stuff, and it's really tight on money, man. Is there anything you can do? And he took a couple $100 off.
Dang, there's still good people in the world.
That was Lindsay's first real introduction to that kind of stuff, and now she's just not faced by it.
Yeah, like for me, for example, the studio, I did that one on my own, and the whole time I'm thinking to myself, like, what would Danny do in this situation? You know what I mean? Like, absolutely. This sounds good, but it wouldn't hurt to ask for a little bit more. Right. So we're gonna go over negotiating, and then also our growth, and you coming along and what that's looked like, because me and Danny, we're not as involved with headlines anymore as we used to be, and it's been kind of like you guys have taken over and made it what it is today. So that's kind of the outline for everyone who is in the chat watching. That's the outline for today. And so I guess we can get started with the negotiation talks. And if you guys have questions, do ask. We'll stop, every 5 to 10 minutes or so and answer some questions and let that kind of gauge or kind of steer us in the direction we're going for tonight. We're going to be on for a little bit less than an hour. And so let's do it. Y'all ready?
Yes, sir. Let's do this.
All right, cool. So the last stream that we did, we talked about how we had 3 locations we had looked at, and we got the one we wanted the least out of all of them. Turned out to be a great thing. But Danny, I wasn't part of that in headlines at that point. What did that look like on a negotiating aspect, and what does it look like for you? What have you learned, from that shop to shop 7?
So we knew nothing about it, right? The interesting part is we got what was called the vanilla. Can we take a step back before we jump right into that and see if there's any questions on the spreadsheet from last week?
Oh yeah. My bad. I forgot that was the first part of the outline.
Yeah, because you said that first.
Yeah. Yeah, my bad. Do you guys have any questions on as far as the spreadsheets? How many of you guys played with it? Even if you don't plan on opening a shop tomorrow, you know, one of the things we said was play with it, see what your numbers look like. You know, if you plan on one day opening a 5-person shop, does the numbers still look good to you? Is that still something you want to do? Or maybe you guys did a 30-man shop. Let's see.
Oh man, I could only imagine.
Dude,
in shop 3 feels like forever ago.
What, Danny, what'd you say?
I said there's a shop for sale in Davie, Florida. You know, you got to keep the name. But
the fact that you know that.
No, I think he's talking about that.
I just caught on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Nobody's commenting, so let's assume that everybody's moving forward.
Hold on. Nope. There's comments coming in.
Oh, am I missing it here? Is there? No?
I have 2 chats. This one populates the one on the platform we're using right now populates a little bit late. Yeah, they're coming in now. Okay. Yeah,
Carlos, that's awesome.
Carlos, congrats for signing up, bro. We appreciate you joining. The spreadsheet is in the homepage. If you log into the academy, you'll see the spreadsheet you can download. What is better, triple net or cam?
So we said that they were pretty much the same thing, but that triple net included what was it? Taxes, and cam didn't. Cam
was just a management. Yeah, maintenance.
Right.
Yeah.
Maintenance and management, and then triple net. So triple net technically is more expensive, and triple net can fluctuate. That is, triple net can increase with increased taxes and stuff like that, increased insurance. So if there's an insurance claim, the increase goes up and stuff like that. So technically speaking, cam is better. You're not going to find any of the high-end places providing you a cam contract that's going to be all triple net.
Yeah, nice. Okay, let me see. Yeah, so Carlos say he's 20. He's going to open a chair. I think that's what you're congratulating him for. Run those numbers through that spreadsheet. I think it'll help a bunch. And then watch the last video. It's saved on the academy. Damn, Josh said in a mall, in his mall, there's a 28-chair shop.
That's crazy.
Listen, man, there's some shops, some malls that are really good. However, one of the most interesting negotiations we had was when we reached out to a what was it? The outlet mall, right? So there's this big, huge center that's opened up close to where Perez lives, and we were like, "Ooh, man, let's get in there," right? And the guy was actually pretty cool. He's like, "Look, man, I've been doing this for 20 years. You guys sound like you're young and hot, and I'm gonna get 50,000 calls for barbershops. I can tell you this: we're not putting any of them in here. They all fail. I've never seen a barbershop do well in this environment." So in some malls they do well, but in outlet malls and stuff, surprisingly, it doesn't, because apparently outlets are a lot more transient. People who live by outlets don't go to outlets on a regular basis, so they don't want to go in and out with all that traffic and stuff. So that was an interesting tidbit.
Yeah, we've always talked about the whole mall thing. We've even talked about getting into like Walmarts like that. Like we've been very we try everything. I think here International Mall, that high end mall would work, but like University Mall, I don't know. That's
we recently talked about the Starbucks too, right? How close to Starbucks would be cool, like in the same plaza as the Starbucks.
Yeah.
But they're expensive, man. It's scary.
They do like a 10-year market research or something like that when they were picking their locations.
It's Starbucks.
Yeah. I remember we talked about that when we were riding around looking for Sun Lake.
Okay, let me see. Let's look at some more questions. How do you go about preparing for unforeseen costs?
Just sign yourself in over there. I'm on a video call. I gotta get off.
How do you go about preparing for unforeseen costs for things like repaving the parking lot? Do you recommend another set of funds, setting another set of funds aside?
Well, like any good business case has some funds. Any good businessman has some reserve funds just in case the zombies show up. In this case, the zombies are coronavirus, right? I can tell you that we live on the bloody edge of our cash flow. It is what it is.
Yeah.
We're not going to sit on, our monthly rent is somewhere in the neighborhood of $18,000 to $20,000 a month between all the shops and everything. We're not going to sit on 3 months rent and not invest it into Tomb 45 and other things that we know are going to do well. Nonetheless, when you have your one shop, you have to do that. You have to prepare for it. One of the things I do is, you remember, if you look at the spreadsheet, we got the 4, 4, 5, 4, 4, 5, 4, 4, 5 Saturdays. How many Saturdays are there in a month? Because as a barbershop owner, you get paid on a Saturday, technically speaking, right? That's when depending on how you keep your numbers. If it's chair rent, you definitely get paid on Saturdays. If your commission, it's obviously a bit different. So one of the things that I do when I send rent off is the months that have 5, I actually send extra rent. Everybody who's a smart businessman will tell you that's stupid because you're giving free money to the landlord that you're not collecting interest on, and I might be paying for interest somewhere else, and so on and so forth. But I can tell you that throughout the years, one of the things that has happened is being ahead of rent come April, March, April, when we get the reconciliation of those stupid maintenance changes and upgrades. If I got extra, cool, then I won't send extra that year. But if I don't have extra, I'm not stressing to pay it. We've been there where we had to stress to pay it. And guess what? It happened right at the same time where we had opened a new barbershop. We had spent a bunch of money we didn't know. We probably invested a bunch in 245 and we just didn't have it. So then we were all stressing over how do we pay? You got to call a landlord, negotiate. Hey, I'll send you an extra $500 a month. Blah, blah, blah. That's difficult. So that's a hard one.
Yeah, not a good feeling. Definitely better be ahead.
Yeah, very personal preference on how you do your money management there. Although for those of you that are on the Profit Pod, one of the concepts that Profit Pods will get to is how to manage your profit and put aside, 10% or 5%. We'll eventually get to that in an account that you can't get to. So technically speaking, one of the solutions for that is you open up a bank account at a bank that you cannot have access to, that it's a pain in the butt. You got to get in your car, drive there in person, stuff like that in order to pull money. That way you're not tempted to pull it. You're not tempted to even look at it, but automatically once a month or whenever you end up depositing just a little bit in there. You deposit $300-400, $300-400. So.
Yeah. So I've Max said outlet malls are high traffic centers usually populated by tourists. I don't think the one by us is highly populated by tourists. I think ours is a little bit more local.
Maybe. Yeah.
Abby the barber got a question right there. Or Smiley first.
Yeah, Smiley said, what credit card processor do you guys use for haircuts?
Well, these guys know about the pizza thing, right?
No plug?
Yeah, I think most of them do. Most of them do.
Okay.
So Pi will come out, and obviously we'll be pushing Pi when Pi comes out. Pi is the software that Tune 45 is coming out with. That'll be a one-stop shop, and it has merchant services in it. Today, most of the shops use different merchant services. I can tell you that as a shop owner, it's a little bit different. As a shop owner, what you want to do is you want to technically have all your barbers use your merchant service and then pay them at the end of the week.
Yeah.
Barbers don't like that. They like having their money, but basically, if you've got 10 barbers, each barber is making $1,000 a week, you're basically doing $10,000 a week. You add that up, it gets really interesting when you have a business that's doing $520,000 a year in revenue. You multiply that times 5 shops, all of a sudden you've got quote unquote a business that's doing $2 million in revenue through merchant services. That can get very interesting and open some interesting opportunities and doors for you, in the sense that you can renegotiate your merchant services and probably end up getting a really, really good rate and taking a spread on that money.
All right, Abby said, how do you account for booth rent income logistically when it fluctuates so much in terms of when you fill up chairs and how much you charge? Any typical assumptions you guys make?
So this is really interesting because we started with one concept, which, as you guys know from last week, is that we did not care if our barbershops made money. We were looking to break even. If we made a little bit of money, it was good. So we started very, very inexpensive. Then what we would do is we would bring on a barber and say, hey, we're not going to charge you full rent. What we're going to do is we're going to charge you what's fair. Based on the traffic you get, your rent will increase until you get to full rent. When you get to full rent, it's full rent. What full rent was literally no idea. To the point where when we opened up our first barbershop, I think we had thought $180 was going to be the ceiling. And then we had to sit all the barbers down and be like, look, you all are making $1,500 a week. There's no reason for you to be paying $180. We're upping the rent. If you don't like it, leave. What's the worst case that can happen? 2 barbers left, and then we would have 2 new barbers the next week, which would all be busy within the month because it was that busy of a shop. So if you got a busy shop, it comes back to supply and demand. If you're a known shop and Just like if you're a known barber. If you're a known barber, you need to raise your prices. If your prices go up and you lose a couple customers, it's all good. You're still making money, and those empty slots will fill with new customers. If you're a busy shop, you need to raise your chair price, and when your chair price goes up, you might lose a barber, and if you lose a barber, you'll have another barber in the future. That's what the business case says. In the headlines barbers culture, we don't necessarily do that. We consider our barbers a team. We consider our barbers family, and we're not in it for the money to begin with. So yes, we will raise rent, but we're very careful. We announce it way ahead, usually quite a few months ahead. We bring everybody in. We have a conversation about it. We don't just do it, and a lot of times we'll do it in combination with upping the base price of haircuts at the shop. So that's how we decide how much to charge. We kind of wing it, and we still don't. We still kind of wing it, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm gonna skip Manuel's for now because it's going into negotiating, and we'll answer these questions before we move on to negotiating. All right. So if we send extra without saying anything, do we just keep track of it? Would the landlord already know what's going on, or automatically get charged for next month?
Yeah, so I mean, it depends. We're talking about like real management companies here that keep actual account ledgers and stuff. You should be able to get your account ledger at any time from your management company. The landlord, if you're dealing directly with the landlord, that's a small shop. I wouldn't advance pay those guys. That's different. But if you're dealing with a property management company who has an account ledger, you should be able to ask for it. As a matter of fact, I ask for ours on a regular basis. Usually every 3 months, I want to see our account ledgers. I want to make sure that I don't want to forget that where I'm at. If I'm ahead on some, behind on some. This month, I literally sent rent to the water company instead of to the landlord company. So I got the account ledger. Yeah. So I got the account ledger from St. Pete, and I'm like, why do I owe you like $7,000? What the hell's going on? So I had to like review the account ledger. I'm like, why ain't they giving me credit for rent? Let me make sure I paid rent. Log in. I'm like, I paid rent. Here it is. I go back and look. I'm back and forth. I'm like, oh shoot! I paid rent to the water management company. So it's just good housekeeping to do that. I do all that behind the scenes when it comes to numbers, but and I've done it before. I've sent, I think one time I sent $6,000 to the cable company. It happens.
Yeah. All right. Ryan Jones asks, will I be able to use Pi in Canada?
Able to, yes. Officially, will we say it's a Canadian product? Don't know. But let us know how it works. There's a question on so one question that there's several questions. One, all of our user agreements are going to be US based for now. We don't have a Canadian specific based, and actually a lot of softwares actually do that like that. You will have access to the North American App Store, which is where you will download it. Your customers will download it, so it wouldn't be a problem for you specifically. Whether or not merchant services will work for you is a whole nother question that I don't really know right now. So I don't know if you'll be able to use the inside merchant services. I can tell you that if you really, really love us, please use the merchant services inside of Pi. It does help us a lot. It's one of the things that we can use to learn a lot about the business and ultimately be able to provide you guys more services and ideas on how to make money off your customers. But we don't know if it'll work in Canada.
All right. And Angel said, do you think it's better to invest in a good plaza location or invest in marketing and get a cheaper location?
We talked about this last week, and it goes back to your why. If your why, I wouldn't go into a cheap plaza. Being a white collar professional, middle class professional, I don't want to go into a cheap plaza. I just don't drive into a cheap plaza. And I'm not sure if, depending on the kind of shop you want to set up, am I the customer that you're trying to attract? These customers sometimes care, sometimes don't. More and more, the middle class, younger guys don't really care. They kind of grew up with the barbershops and they're going to go to the barbershop. But I wouldn't go with the lower end and spend that on marketing. I'd be interested in knowing what that marketing looks like more than anything else. So let's say you did have that extra money. What does that marketing look like? Maybe you have an amazing marketing strategy and I'm just not seeing it. But for the most part, you go with the better plaza next to an LA Fitness, next to a Starbucks, next to Chinese places, next to nail places, next to hair salons. Yeah. You don't want to be the reason they're going into the plaza. You want to take advantage of the traffic inside the plaza. On your car, no matter what car you drive, whether it's a truck or a car, get a hitch, one of those hitches that let you tow stuff, and get a flag and connect it to your hitch. They're on eBay all over the place. You know, flag for your hitch. Get a big flag that says barbershop and park it in the parking lot. Everybody who goes through that parking lot needs to know there's a barbershop in there. So that's free. That's free marketing, and you're in a higher end place, attracting higher end people. Seems like a no-brainer.
I think like a lot of barbers, they want to be that premium barber. They want to target a specific demographics, but all the actions you're taking and all the planning you're taking isn't really doing that. I get it for the guys who they're trying to get in cheap. Maybe the first, last, and security deposit, it's like a big deal to them, and they want to make that as cheap as possible. But I mean, if you don't have the money for a more expensive spot, wait a year. You know, save the money if you have a specific target demographics you're trying to go after.
Yeah, if you're opening a vision, you're technically tackling a vision. Excuse me, if you're opening a barbershop, you're technically tackling a vision. So I would just be patient with it till you can do it right.
Josh said, Square doesn't work for me because I'm 21. Will I be able to use this software? And I think he's talking about Pi, and we'll be able to verify my identity.
You're not 21.
Yes, but again, you probably merchant services is very highly regulated in the U.S., so you may not be able to have access to merchant services. I'm not sure when you're 21, but I can tell you we've had quite a few challenges. This software we had hoped would launch last year, and we are still spending a massive amount of money and resources and efforts into launching it this year. So once it launches, we'll know. And it won't be with us. It's not like you're validating with us. You're validating with the merchant services provider that we've contracted in. So you will validate with PaySafe, and you'll technically open an account with PaySafe. So once we get there, that's a very good question. I don't have the exact answer to. I would assume that it's all regulated the same way.
Carlos, this is a good question. How would you go about cross promotion with other small businesses around you? You have a good answer for this with New Tampa.
Well, you're talking about how we attract the customers?
Cross promoting with other small businesses around you.
Like business to business, pretty much?
Yeah. Like, remember the ceiling tiles and stuff, that type of thing?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, you want to talk about the ceiling tiles, Loco?
So pretty much they call it, what do they call it? Guerrilla tactics. So just finding new ways to draw in new different type of clients. So in our first location, pretty much what does every barber do when they go to shave somebody? They lay them back, right? Well, we like to take advantage of all the square footage in our shops. So we have a bunch of blank ceiling tiles. So why not cross promote other businesses within our plaza or some of our customers? So if Bob owns a lawn care service, take Bob's business card, blow it up. It's now a ceiling tile. Every time I lay somebody back, they're now advertised to everything on the ceiling.
Yeah, we considered doing it in different locations in different ways. One way was to put up, metal or not aluminum, but some sort of steel wall plate, basically on top of the wall. Put a steel wall plate. Have the steel wall plate vinyl wrapped with our graphics, but with a fairly plain background, and then allowing our customers who had businesses to make magnetic stickers of different sizes and stuff, and put it on there and basically say we support our local friends, our customers and friends, or something like that, where our customers and friends would be up on the wall and they would be allowed to put their sticker there. I think that's pretty cool. You can take everybody's stickers down and maybe make a sticker, congratulating your local high school team or your local class graduation, or back to school promotion, welcome back to school, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. So you can use it for all kinds of different things once you have the magnetic wall up. So we had considered that. Honestly, we never implemented it. We've considered it over and over again. We tried some different things with metal signs. Remember that I think we got 2 headlines, metal signs, and ended up not implementing it. Those kinds of ideas come and go, and we try them or we don't, and they kind of fall through the cracks at some point.
But Carlos, just something you could do for free, man. Just walk into those businesses as a regular customer, speak to the owner, manager, and just start building a relationship. As you support his business, he'll come support your business, and then there's a cross promotion that you guys could do. Who knows? You might be in the bar and you organically.
It seems to happen. Like, I mean, there's LA Fitness. Remember when we opened New Tampa, they were giving us all free memberships, and the managers were getting their haircuts for free. So, and then remember they let us put up the pop-up banner in LA Fitness. That was amazing.
Yeah, they let us.
And in turn, we held their flyers and stuff in the shop. So it's pretty simple to approach another business owner with these ideas. Everybody wants to
Go to
make
your
more money for their
local.
business.
One of the things we used to do all the time, local. I'm not 100% sure if we're still doing it or not. We used to go to the apartment complexes near the barbershops and try to meet the local managers and stuff. If they were guys, awesome. Free haircuts, drop off ask them if you can drop off your flyers. And if you do drop off your flyers, you know what? Just walk in and say, hey man, you're the local manager. We're the barbershop down the street. Swing by. I'd like to give you a free haircut. You guys had a lot of customers there. When you give him a haircut, talk to him, build that relationship, and see if you can put some flyers in his hand, and that if he can add it to the new new tenant package and stuff like that. We used to do that all the time. Now we don't do it because we're lazy and our name is
But not only that, like even in that situation, there's some of these apartment complexes are kind of going digital with the new packet. They're like giving it through all digital and stuff like that. They could add it to that, or they could even put it on like a community board. You give them a big enough flyer, put on a community board. Now every time somebody goes into the lobby, they see it. Just exposure.
The car dealerships were like one of the best businesses we cross promoted with. Yeah. You guys remember that? Like that was dope. There were times where a car dealership would want to book us, and we'd send out a few guys that needed the money that week or whatever, and they'd make some extra money. So we thought about doing the trailer. Remember, because of that.
Yeah.
So
we're looking at the Sprinter,
the stripper bus.
Yeah, the stripper bus. All right, Concise Nate said, you're in a barbershop making good money and have a good clientele, but you want to open your own shop. What's literally the first thing you would do to make that happen?
Save money.
Yeah.
Save money, and you got the tools here, man. Start planning, start visualizing it, start doing, the spreadsheet, and
he said the first thing. So I assumed there was just one thing. If it's just one thing, you need money.
Yeah. You need money, yeah. All right. Let's see.
The other thing I would add to that is start treating the shop that you're in as as practice, as if it was your own. Like start going through it even if you're not in a manager position, just taking on that responsibility.
There's a lot of barbers that tell us they want to open their own shop, and we're looking at them like, you don't act like you want to open your own shop. Like what? All right. When can we get a piece of the pie?
Nice. We're not 100% sure. I can tell you we're testing daily. I think this week alone we released 2 new test apps.
Yeah.
We're going through all kinds of testing. I don't personally test because otherw's I would go crazy. But look,
I'm happy.
You're in the test group. So there's quite a bit of testing going on and stuff. We will test it inside of Headlines, and we will release it to you guys at the Academy before anybody else at a steep discount. In hopes that you
tell them all this already.
Oh,
take it easy, tranquilo.
Keep going.
It's Christmas.
So we will release it to you guys first at a steep discount in hopes that you guys will use it and provide us feedback in a constructive manner. Like any new, very complicated software that has been built from the ground up. We have built this 100% from the ground up. We started with a blank screen and started coding. We expect there to be some challenges and we expect there to be some feedback. So we will use friends and family to test it. And you guys are considered friends and family. So we'll do that, give you guys a massive discount to help us test it early on before we officially and publicly release it.
Yeah.
That's
going to be fun. Cannot wait. Let's see.
And what's
our rate's going to be good. They're going to be good. Can you write off your car? Can you write off your car by having it wrapped?
I am not an accountant and I cannot give you a legal accounting or tax advice. I am not a lawyer. I cannot give you legal advice. Having said that, you can write anything off. Just talk to your accountant and figure out how to do it.
Something I learned over the years.
That's the key. Figure out how to do it. So if she tells you, no, you cannot, the next question is, how can I write it off? Well, you can write it off under this and this and this circumstance. How else can I write it off? This and this circumstance. Keep asking what other ways do businesses write them off. And when you find one that fits you, use that and say, hypothetically speaking, if a barbershop owner was to buy a car, wrap it, and go to Walmart every day to pick up supplies, would all that mileage be deductible? Would the car payment be deductible? Ask your questions and find the yes.
Yeah. That's why I stress to you guys, everyone that's watching, make sure when you hire your accountant, make sure they're accessible, like that you can actually talk to them. Yeah, because there's definitely some accountants that they go AWOL on you and they're hard to reach. But like I'm not gonna lie, like lately my account has been amazing. Like I could text her and 2 minutes later she responds, and I ask her crazy questions like that.
Well, we
She
did
charged
fire her
hourly.
off the big account, right? So she got
Yeah.
fired off of a big account, and she's being not threatened, but she sees the writing on the wall. She better step up, or she's losing everything.
Yeah, she's been amazing. She's been amazing.
Good, good.
Now, all right. How do you feel about contracts for barbers coming into your shop?
I think it's stupid, but that's because of the way we operate and the why we operate. I don't want to stop a barber from growing. If a barber feels he's going to do better for himself by going to the shop across the street, more power to you. We've had that happen, and that barbers come back and let all our barbers know that that place across the street sucks. It sucks so bad that you never want to go there, and we didn't have to tell them anything. All we said was welcome back. We treated them right. We told everybody, if we catch you talking smack about, you know, somebody used to consider your family, you're a piece of shit, and we're going to kick you out. So you know, contracts are for people who are scared. If it's kind of like putting a contract on your wife, dude. If she wants to leave, let her go. What are you gonna do? Hold her in? Force her home? Hey, no, I'm not giving you a divorce. What are you? No. You want a divorce? Here's the papers. Let me know how it goes for you. I hope you do well. Let's figure out the kids, and I'm moving on. You know,
that right there is worth me cutting a little clip and reposting. Look what you missed, and then have Daddy do that. It's true though. Like
contracts for your barbers. That's like getting a contract for your wife, making her stay at home. No, I'm not giving you a divorce. The hell?
Yeah, I'll use that one.
Yeah, cut that right there.
It's true though. Like I've seen so many shop owners that we know are kind of like, I don't know if I would want to work in that guy's shop, but everything is like they blame the barber. So they want contracts to protect themselves. But at some point, you gotta look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know, if I'm so scared these guys are gonna leave me, why? What am I doing wrong? That's
Jocko's. If you guys want a good book, Jocko's Extreme Ownership. You know, the buck stops with me. It's my responsibility. It doesn't matter if Loco made the decision and I was never even made aware of it, which happens all the time. It's still my fault if something goes haywire.
And if you guys aren't readers, Jocko's book and even the audio version can be kind of a long read for people. Yo, his YouTube channel, he puts like 3-minute clips, 4-minute clips. Dude's a monster. Okay, next question. I tried using the flag on my truck and I got fined by the city, but I'm still doing it.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. If you get fined, then it's $100 a month. That's $100 in advertising costs. Call it a day. Now, what we did was we went to the city, got a permit, and then we were allowed to use it for 90 days. So we put the permit on the flag, and then on day 180, the inspector shows up and he's like, "Hey, your permit's expired." We're like, "Oh my God, I didn't know." "Hold on, I'll go get another permit tomorrow. I promise. I'm going to take it down, and then tomorrow we'll get one." You know, we follow the rules. We go get permits. And we did that. Basically, we had the flag out there all year long, even though you're only allowed 2 90-day permits, because we kept saying, "Oh my God, I forgot about the permit." And they were cool about it because we actually paid for the permit, which pays their salary.
Yeah, Danny told me go apologize to that guy. I told him we'll figure it out.
I think
ask for forgiveness.
One of the lessons I learned from Danny for sure is the ask for forgiveness, not for permission. But it's also one of those things where at least put forth effort that you're trying to follow the rules, right? If you're off a little bit, then you know when somebody comes to check you, you're just like, "Dude, I tried. My bad. I forgot, or I didn't notice." But I'm trying to do it the right way.
Right. Yeah. You show that you read up on the rules and that you actually followed some of the rules, right? And that if you missed part of the rule, "Oh, I thought it was like this and this," and you have proof that you actually tried rule. You know, think about it. It's like getting away with some shit with your wife. You know, "Babe, you said I can go out with the boys." "Yeah, but not till 5 o'clock in the morning." "Oh, my bad."
Yeah, that's a lot better than just disappearing from the house and not saying anything, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a lot easier. Yeah.
Hey, cut that part too.
All right. Abby said, what's a decent, not too crowded, approximate square footage for an 8 to 10 chair barbershop? We have the perfect answer for you. Go ahead, Danny. This is Danny's thing.
Yeah. 8 to 10 is probably anywhere between 1,000 and 1,100 square feet, but it depends on the width of the shop. So if you're narrow and long, it's good. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 16 feet across?
17, I thought.
16, yeah. So 16, 17 feet across, that gets you somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 to 1,100 square feet for 8 to 10 chairs with a decent waiting area for 8 to 10 barbers.
Yeah. I get anxiety when I see a whole bunch of open, unused space in the middle of a barbershop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
900 to 1100 square feet, I think, is the sweet spot at about 16 feet wide.
Yeah. And I get for some, you also have to like, I get for some barbershops who are like this high end shop, they did $100,000 build out, and you know the ambiance and the look is part of their whole business model. I get it for that, but if you're trying to open up a barbershop, man, and it's you're trying to treat it like a business and not waste space, then I mean it's worked for us. We don't, you know, we're not trying to be the $100 haircut barbershops.
Just to chime in real quick on. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Abby has commented 1,500 square feet, but it's really wide. Once you start getting into 15, 16, 1,800 square feet, depending on the width, if you're really wide, you really have to look at creative rows. So basically have one up against the wall and then one down the middle. Maybe the one down the middle is double-sided with a waiting area on the other wall. Once you get really wide, you got to start getting creative. When you just want barbers on up against one wall, barbers up against the other wall, a little walkway down the middle, and then waiting area at the front of the shop, 1,500 square feet isn't going to happen unless the place is like 100 feet long.
Yeah, two formats that I've seen that work for wide shops is Mark Marrero's double-sided stations, where he just puts them across, and on the walls it's all seating. But they're double-sided, and then Jesse Lima's, you know, he does the barbershops on the side, but in the middle, yeah, he puts the waiting area kind of like bleacher style in the middle. But what were we gonna say, Loco? Sorry.
So one of the things, from a business standpoint, you want to maximize the space as far as how many barbers you have. But one thing I will say is if you go too large, now that we have 7 shops, I think that it does affect, and you know, being on tour for 2 years, I think that it does affect culture, big time. I know we're gonna get into growth later on, but culture, if you got one barber all the way, you know, it seems like he's a mile away and he's like screaming, "Hey, do you got a number 2 guard?" You know, there's no intimacy between the client, barber.
That's important
amongst the barbers, so it's very important as far as
for us, having like intimate space was not our goal. Our goal was to have that barbershop feel where, you know, we're arguing about sports, where, you know, we're having a good time. Like that was important to us, and that's why we wanted, like, we make it a thing to make sure each barber is right across from one another. So you know, and then that customers are right across from one another. So, okay, we're gonna skip the negotiating questions for the next like couple minutes. At the 40-minute mark, we're going to negotiating, I think. Do you guys join the local chamber of commerce? And I lost the comment.
We don't do local chamber of commerce and small business associations locally. Would it be a good idea? Potentially. I don't think that for barbershops is that interesting. I think local chamber of commerce is, if I had a sign business, for example, I would be at the local chamber of commerce. I would want to know every business license that was going out. I would want to contact them personally. I would want to, any entrepreneur that showed up, if they had a new business, and I was going to make them signs for their doors and stuff. But for a barbershop, I'm not sure that that's going to give me any more business per se.
Good question. My shop is by a local high school. How do you feel about creating a school barber program for the school? It creates potential barbers and promotes the kids to come to shop. Let me know how y'all feel.
Well, we actually, I don't know about creating one, but I know that the school next to mine, next to the shop that I would currently work at, had a barber program, and just some class demos there, and you kind of still get the same effect of like those barbers coming to work with you.
Yeah, I think you can achieve the same thing by just donating your time at local barber schools, you know, and then have weekend mentoring things like once a week or once a month. You know, you have a day where it's like mentoring, and anybody can come and you teach them cutting and stuff like that.
Or even offer for them to come into the shop and shadow you. You know, you still get the attention from those barbers.
As Danny would say, what is the opportunity cost?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, let's see. I'm late to the live. Have we talked about how to negotiate a lease? Not yet. I should have read the question first. What is pie? Nate, you don't know what pie is?
That's why I was like, Nate, how do you not know that, bro?
How does Nate not know what pie is?
Have you been around us?
Do we want? Yeah, we might as well explain it real quick. So that's our next company under Tomb 45. We've been working for probably the last over 2 years now on a software as a service. So you know how I've
killing me
what's
here.
up?
Killing me here. Let's totally simplify it. Can I totally simplify?
Go ahead.
What happened was we got pissed off at some people that represent some software that allows you to book appointments, right? because Barber since '98, he stole one of our team members' meme, erased the guy's name, and posted it on his website. And I was so pissed. Called up Bosio. I'm like, Bosio, let's go after these guys. So basically, we're pissed off that Booksy has taken advantage of the barber industry. And let me ask you guys this. I want you guys to put some comments in the comment, right? Let's say that we said, hey, I want you to give me traffic. I want you guys to send traffic to danielsantana.com, to toondog.com. I want you to send traffic. Your very next question should be, that sounds good. How much am I, Toondog, going to pay you to send traffic to my website? And for the privilege of you sending traffic to my website, I'm going to charge you $30 a month. Now, if I present it like that, you all are going to be like, Toondog's crazy. I'm not paying him no $30 and sending him websites, right? So I don't want you to promote your booking software. I want you to promote yourself. So Pi Services is going to give you the opportunity to build your own app, super easy, inside of Pi Services, where you will get your own app so that you can tell your customers to go to your app and book you on your app through the iOS, through the Android systems, and through your own website.
Yeah.
So
it's
stop promoting your
service.
booking app. So stop promoting your booking app and start promoting yourself. That's what Pi is. Get your piece of the pie. Stop giving that piece of the pie to somebody else who doesn't give a shit about you.
It's
what do you
crazy.
guys think?
And it's not just Booksy, it's almost all of the softwares out there. Like if there wasn't a solution to the problem that we see, we wouldn't have to go and create it, but we got a position where we had to.
You know how many people think that their customers use Booksy? Your customer doesn't use Booksy. If you're sending your customers to Booksy, they're not your customer. They're Booksy customers.
Yep.
Big fact.
That pisses me off. It pisses me off because they took advantage of the industry that we have been trying to elevate. Mm-hmm. And we've been promoting and building Booksy's business instead of promoting and building your business.
Yep.
Get your piece of the pie. Promote yourself. There you go. That's it, Josh.
Yeah.
That is the slogan,
and,
actually.
I hate
Josh,
that.
That is the catchphrase.
It is. And the kicker, the insult to injury is after one of your customers books you through their booking app, they're going to promote a local barber with a better rating to your customer.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
And I hate that question. Are you on Booksy?
No,
I'm on headlines.
So this isn't about us. It's not about Pi. It's not about promoting our business. So let's move on because we want to make sure that you guys get your questions answered. We're not here to promote our stuff. We're here to help you guys out. So let's move on.
Let's see. Does opening a shop have to do more with personal connections, the people you meet through your careers?
I can tell you this: headlines would not exist if Perez, which was on our live stream, on our meeting last week, if Perez and I had not met at car races, street car racing specifically. He walked up to me and said, "Hey, hi, I love your car. Can you take me for a ride?" That's how Perez and I met. No BS. That's how we met. We opened headlines, then we opened Tomb 45. So you never know who you're going to meet and what's going to come of it. It's a crazy story, but hopefully that answers your question.
I'm so glad you took a stranger for a ride, bro.
I tell people I've known
that is so just like you, bro.
Yeah. You didn't know that story?
Danny always picks up hitchhikers, bro. That is so like him.
How do you guys make decisions as a partnership? We don't. We make decisions individually. The idea is that we can synchronize and we know what decisions we can and cannot make. We also delegate. If I'm not available, then I should not be upset about a decision that was made in my absence. Delegation and acceptance of failure is key to any partnership. Any decision that is made by any of us is as if I had made it. So if there's something to learn from a bad decision, I should learn the decision as if I had made it. Having that kind of respect for the decision and understanding that you could have made the exact same mistake that your partner did makes things a lot easier when it comes to silly mistakes and just bad mistakes and hard mistakes. I think. What do you guys think? That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat there.
I love our group because we all tend to have short-term memory. You know, we fuck up and we clown each other for the next 5 years about it, but you know, we move on and we keep progressing, right? So,
you know, I tell people all the time that a key trait of successful people is short-term memory.
Yeah.
it's really interesting because it's not just short-term memory for their failures. They also wake up the next day from massive wins and do not remember it. I mean, they'll celebrate it, but they're moving on because they have a need and a desire to get another win. So they forget about their wins just like they forget about their losses because they just need another win.
Yep.
Thoughts on having a dress code at a barbershop?
I hate the idea.
I do too.
And I'll tell you why.
Yeah, we did try. We're speaking from experience.
I'll tell you why. Coming from the world that I came from, white collar executive world, right? I came from the corporate world, white collar, I wore a suit and tie, and I fell into the barbershop industry. And one of the things I realized is that one of the benefits of the barbers is the urban culture that you guys have. And taking that away is taking away culture from the barbershops. You want to keep the culture. So I think last week I mentioned we are the professional twist to the urban barbershop. That's how we present ourselves. I want to bring a professional twist, but I don't want to remove the urban sense of it. You put in a uniform, you remove the urban sense of it, at least for our barbershop. If you want to do a super cuts type barbershop, make everybody wear black pants and a red shirt. Sure, go ahead.
Trust me, Danny tried to convince me to wear a suit and tie every day, man.
Well, listen, I do think that if you're going to do a high-end barbershop and you want to charge $80 a haircut, you do need to wear a suit and tie, and you do need to have an environment that promotes that kind of, and you need to be in a place that has those kinds of customers. That's how I feel about it. So we don't charge $80 a haircut. We never will because our guys don't want to do that. And that's okay. That's a decision I've made with my partners.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, in the comments, you can start asking negotiating questions now. We're going to finish all the questions that are there, but we got 15 minutes left, so I want to make sure that we get through our outline. Let's see where are we at.
Doesn't even feel like 46 minutes.
Yes. Oh, do you recommend Facebook ads?
Go ahead, Danny.
Anytime you place an ad, you're going after new customers, right? So the new customers, there's a cost associated with the new customer, which is customer acquisition cost. So anytime you analyze the customer acquisition cost, CAS, right? CAC, the idea there is that you want to keep the cost for a new customer as low as possible, right? And you were talking about customers that need a haircut. We have ideas on how to lower that cost. And honestly, as much as I want to tell you right now, we're going to launch those ideas, two major ideas that we use at Headlines. We're launching them with Pi, and they will be public information at Pi. I don't think that paying for advertisement is the way to do it. Paying for advertising is buying a customer. Anytime you buy a customer, I don't feel you're establishing a long-term relationship. So the lifetime value of that customer drops. When the lifetime value of the customer drops, it's not as interesting.
I think it's definitely lower on our priority list when it comes to advertising. But one of the things that I do like that we do with Facebook ads is we use it as a way to show appreciation to our barbers who are doing all the advertising things that we do prioritize, right? And instead of, for example, giving somebody a discount on rent, we'd award them by giving them, a budget for Facebook ads. So I do like doing that because it serves several purposes.
Right, that's a little bit different. So let's reword that in a different way. So one of the things we do at Headlines is when we bring in a new barber, a lot of times we'll ramp them up fairly quickly, and they'll be like, "Wow, that's a lot of rent." We're like, "Okay, well, listen, for every $10 you put towards rent, we're going to give you a $10 credit." So as a matter of fact, if you show me a receipt that you spent $50 on Facebook ads, we will discount $50 on your rent. And we'll do that for the first 6 weeks or something like that. But that does, again, that's not so much for the advertising. That's a lot more for culture building, for making them, rather than the effect of the advertising. The customer acquisition cost on $50 a week on Facebook ads is extremely high.
Yeah, I'd rather do something like for every hour you hold the sign outside, we'll give you a week of advertising. But the customers, the walk-ins are going to come from that sign, not from so much from the Facebook ads. Yeah,
right,
for sure.
All right. Do you guys mind if I get a bit selfish and ask a question due to my situation? This was the time to do it, but you didn't ask the question.
Yeah.
Okay, 1500. And do you recommend getting space up front, even if you can only do, let's say, 4 to 5 barbers initially?
You got to make sure you can cover your costs. The number one killer of small businesses in America is cash flow. So if you don't have enough money coming in to cover your expenses, you will go under and you will go bankrupt, or that company will go bankrupt. So you want to go as big as you can, ensuring that you can cover the expenses no matter what the situation.
All right. Thoughts of having a silent investor / part owner of a shop?
Why? Because you couldn't save the money yourself? I don't know. I'm not the right person to answer that. What do you guys think? I'm the exact wrong person to answer that.
I've never been in that position.
I wouldn't do it.
I really,
all my partners work.
I really hate being around people who are around you for transactional reasons and don't put in and don't have the same care of your business and and your why and your values. And I hate being around those type of people when they're not investors. Imagine when they are. Oh, that'd be tough, man.
Yeah.
Right.
I love how everybody thinks Danny's a silent investor, and I'm like, silent. I'm so glad he invented Tomb Doc.
Yeah, that was a
silent to y'all.
that was a thing for a minute. Okay, we can get into these questions. Going into the negotiation process, what are things in a leasing contract that are negotiable, and how do you start that negotiating process to get the best offer?
Oh, geez, what comes right after negotiation? What's on the agenda for today, Basio?
Growth.
Yeah, I really want to get to growth because we might need to extend this because that's where local brings in all kinds of value, and that's where we get to talk about our path to ownership and all that. So absolutely anything in the contract is negotiable. One thing that upsets me is large companies and large management companies for these really nice plazas are going to require a personal guarantee. The good thing is nobody there likes their fucking job. So what do? You agree to everything. Well, you gotta negotiate to a point. But for example, at our second barbershops, we agreed to everything but this one point that they didn't want to change, which was the personal guarantee. And they wanted it for 5 years. When I got the final draft, I changed it from 5 years to 5 months, signed it, sent it in, they signed it. They have no idea to this day that I have a personal guarantee for 5 months every time I renew that contract. So take advantage of stupid people. When
gotta love silent partners.
Yeah,
gotta love silent partners.
When they're being built. And the other thing is, it's as creative as you want. Look, at the first barbershop, it was a vanilla shell. Basically, the floor wasn't even there. The floor was dirt. So what we did was we negotiated that they gave us, I don't even remember how much, $25,000, and the rent went up. We talked about that last week. The number of years is negotiable. If you go longer years, you can increase your rent, or you can lower your rent the first couple of years and increase it. Let's say that you want to keep low rent. Let's say you don't want to pay any rent for the first 6 months. You can negotiate no rent for the first 6 months. We talked about it last week. You can negotiate. A lot of times we do zero pay until we move in, and then the first 3 months we're going to pay 25%. Month 4 through 6 we're going to pay 50%. 7 through 9 we pay 75%, and then we go full rent. So all of that is absolutely negotiable. Your creativity is the blocking point for what you can and cannot.
We've had landlords that say we've never done something like that. Let me check if I can do that, and we'll get back to you. Like that's how creative sometimes we'll get. Yeah. Sure.
Let's say the air conditioner, have them put in a new air conditioner as part of your lease. Okay, I agree to everything, but you know what? That air conditioner is 8 years old, and in the lease it says that I'm responsible for the air conditioner. Well, I don't want to be responsible for the air conditioner 100% because it's an 8-year-old air conditioner. So I'm only going to be responsible for 50%. Does that work? Anything, absolutely anything in the lease is negotiable.
Yeah. And then he asked, how do you send a counter offer?
I'm not sure what that means. I mean, you put
so
it
they send a contract. They send a contract. He doesn't like it. How does he respond to that? I guess
you put your comments in the contract. You track changes on your document and upgrade them and send them in. Usually all that would be in some sort of email or communications, whatever communication form you're using, that's how you send it in.
Difference in negotiating a brand new location from a location that's across the street that's been there 20 plus years and completely owned by the owner.
And managed by the owner, I'm assuming you're meaning Manuel.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So when it's by the owner, it's a little bit different because these guys don't want to put out a bunch of money. They don't want to put out what's called TA or tenant allowance. You're going to have to put in all the money yourself. Newer locations are usually larger institutional investors of some sort that have more capabilities to do NPV calculations and do all kinds of financial voodoo to make your numbers work. So the small guy is just worried about his rent and his income and stuff. You know, what really matters is it worth the savings? Usually when you're driving down the street and there's a new plaza, you're going to drive in and be like, ooh, what's in here? That's what you're trying to take advantage of, man. That's what you're trying to take advantage of. The cost of changing the roof, that might be on your triple nets, for example. If it's more maintenance, all that could potentially affect your lease and your actual cost too, your true cost of ownership.
Yeah. So my situation is I'm taking over a barbershop in my local area. It's all fitted. I just have to slap my logo on it. Insurance is $1,755. Rent asking is $400. Water, sewage, $960.
Those numbers don't make sense. Black Flag, you're in Australia, right? I think he's our Australian guy. Let me read your other comments here. I'm going to ask for 1 year lease with option. And is there anything else I should ask for or need to know? Shop has been vacant for 2 years. Lease. Well, shop has been vacant for 2 years, and I know they are looking for someone to fill the spot. Dude, if they're looking for someone to fill the spot, here's what you do. You tell the landlord that you're going to do a revenue share with him, or you're going to do a profit sharing with him for the first 6 months. After that, you can pay rent. Why are you going to put your money in? It's been empty. He's not making any money. So tell him you're going to do some profit sharing. Listen, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to run this place. I'm going to manage it. I'm going to take care of everything. If it's making money and I can get people in here, we're going to do good together. We both do good. Otherwise, you're not going to make any money. So you want to make some money? I'm the right guy to do it. Let's do some profit sharing for the first 6 months. If things are going well, we'll move forward to the first 12 months. And then after that, yes, Australia. How to maximize allowance. Concise, that's going to depend on your location and your institutional investors and your managers and the capability of it. Usually TA is best when you've got a buyer who's trying to build up and sell the property. Why is that interesting? When we look at commercial property and the valuation of commercial property, what matters to the valuation of commercial property is its gross income. Ultimately the net income, but remember that a lot of the costs are already covered by the triple nets and the cams. So anytime that a landlord increases rent, it gives them a multiple on his valuation for that property. So anytime that you can give that landlord a higher base rent salary, my battery is going to die. I got to go to the other one. Anytime you give that landlord a increase of his monthly base rent, he's going to be very happy. The reason he's going to be very happy is because he's got a multiple increase on his valuation on his property, which he's going to try to sell to the next landlord. So you may be able to get $50,000 in tenant allowance if you raise your rent enough. So all you got to do is ask and say, hey, if I do tenant allowance, if I do $20,000 tenant allowance, what kind of rent can we take care of here? What kind of rent are you going to be able to provide me with 20,000 tenant allowance and 30,000 tenant allowance? So.
Yeah. All right, Carlos asked, does it make sense to find out how much I'm responsible for the property tax if I'm leasing?
If it's on your triple net, it'll be very clear on your triple nets and your cans.
Yeah.
Yes. So you will ask your triple nets, and in the spreadsheet, they'll give you $1 per square footage of the current cost of your triple nets, and that's what you got to go with. And the triple nets are already put their assumptions on the increase on the yearly increase on that.
All right, cool. I think that was the last question as far as negotiating. Let's get into growth. Let's get into into Loco's specialty.
Tag me in,
cool.
Coach.
Yeah. So our plan was what? 5 shops in 5 years.
5 shops in 5 years. We did 7 in 5.5, right?
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah. So the idea there is, look, you can't do it yourself, right? There's not enough hours in the day. There's much less possibilities of you doing it yourself while building a separate company, which is 245. So ultimately what we did was we gave up a piece of the pie. You find a lot of really good guys in this industry that want to do their own shops, that want to manage their own shops. Loco was one of our key guys. So local, hey, listen, if you go build shop number 3 and you do a good job, we'll bring you in. So what do? We gave him a percentage on shop number 5, shop number 6, shop number 7. I don't even know. At this point, it's all one big mess. And and did such an awesome job. I mean, he literally jumped shop to shop, lost personal money, but increased his ownership in headlines every time he jumped. And then we opened Tomb 45, and he's got a percentage in Tomb 45. He's actually an owner in Tomb 45. He's got a minority stake in Tomb 45. So is Perez, right? So those are the 4 owners on deal. So there's 5 total. But the percentages, it doesn't matter if you own 1% or 5%. The fact that you're an owner gives you equity, and there's exit strategies, and there's actual cash through, and there's benefits like you never pay rent because you're an owner, or you pay extremely little rent because you got to make sure that the profits for that place are good, since it's profit sharing and everything else. One of the ways that I would consider doing it is, look, you find your guy, your right-hand man guy, and you do a profit sharing. So you bring him into the next shop. You still own the shop, but on your second shop, he runs it, builds it, brings in the barbers, manages it. And if it does good, he gets a percentage. So let's say he gets 50%. That doesn't mean that he owns the shop. It's just, hey, this month we made $1,000. Here's $500. Or maybe you do it at the end of the year. Hey, at the end of the year, we have $20,000 in the bank. 10,000 of it is yours. So if you do it like that, and then you build a third shop and the fourth shop, at some point, you may end up getting a divorce. If you get a divorce, guess what? You did a profit sharing. Because you did a profit sharing and not a partnership, you can just get a divorce. In our case, we're extremely lucky that all the partners get along great. There's no issues. But Basio and I probably spend no more than, Basio spends less than I do. You probably spend, 30 minutes on average, an hour a month on Headlines Barbers, Basio?
Yeah. There's some months a little bit more, depending on if we have events and stuff going on.
My average is probably 2 to 4 hours per month, an hour a week on Headlines. And we own 7 of them. So if you can, if your time can be minimized by doing that. So local, from your perspective, when we approached you and said, hey, we want you to manage and grow Headlines, and we want you to open a bunch of locations for us, how did it work out? What was your train of thought and all that?
The funny part is, it wasn't even like, I think I was probably one of the only barbers that came into the game and was not thinking I want to own a shop. That's the funny part is, I literally was just like, do a good job, do a good job, do a good job. Then when you guys came to me with the opportunity to become manager and run Sun Lake, our third location, like I said, I mentioned before to you, Basio and Perez, it was just one of those things where I sat back and looked at the bigger picture, and I said, okay, their first location has a 5.0 rating. Their second location has a 4.9. I probably got those backwards. New Tampa, I think, was lower at the time. But 5.0 and 4.9. And I was just like, I can't go less than that. That shop can't be less than that. And I'm talking Google ratings, over 1,000 Google ratings. And that's kind of where I went with it. And that's literally my first team meeting. That's what I said. I said, hey, guys, we can't have nothing less than this on our review. So we need to make sure we do what we got to do. And my biggest thing was just building a culture. And then when you guys presented the opportunity to open my own shop, that was a tough one because it was, I'm going from a shop that's literally probably like 10 minutes down the road to going to a shop that's 45 minutes down the road. And I remember that first drive with Danny. Danny looked at me and said, who the hell's idea was it to open a shop out here? And I'm like, yours. I just agreed to it. But but it's been a blessing, it's a successful shop. It's doing good. And it's a huge shop. And it's been a blessing. I mean, shop 4, shop 5, 6, 7, 8 on the way. It's been a blessing along the road.
So the key is building a team. It's funny because people ask me, what do I do? I don't do anything. The guys do it all. You guys see Basio doing it. You guys see Perez doing it. You guys see Loco. You guys see Beam. You guys see all those people. You guys never see me doing anything of it. Sure, I'm in the background doing stuff, but in reality, you got to build a team that can go in and do it. You can't do it all. There's no way you can do it all. The whole, it takes a team to make the dream work. It's not teamwork to make the dream work. It's identifying who it is. Here's a great story that I love telling people all the time. The most successful group of entrepreneurs in the United States are dyslexic. And the reason why dyslexics are so successful is because since they were little kids, they could not do any of the work themselves. They can't read. They can't do math. How'd they get past second, third, and fourth grade? Now, mind you, a lot of dyslexics are totally screwed up for life. They're alcoholics and their lives are miserable. They're very depressed, and it's a sad story. However, the ones that get through it in a very interesting way. They get through it because they identify and they learn to identify who can help them with their math, who can help them with their English homework, who can help them with what homework. As a matter of fact, the statistic you can look up is that the majority of the CEOs for the Fortune 500 are dyslexic. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, some of the most famous names in the US are dyslexics.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. They can identify who is the best at doing what in the quickest way possible because they are doing it in a way that they're identifying it in a way that they developed a sixth sense for. They have a sixth sense that they know once they talk to you for 30 minutes, 10 minutes, they know what you're good at. They will never do what many entrepreneurs do. Many entrepreneurs try to be their own lawyer. I'm going to go to rocketlawyer.com. They try to be their own accountant. I'm going to go to quickbooks.com. I'm my own accountant. I'm going to be my own everything. I'm going to do all my work myself. What dyslexics do is they identify and they give the work to the person who can do it. The key to growth is to identify who is the right person to help you grow and fire the ones that stop you. Fire the ones that slow you. You cannot keep a friend around. If you're keeping a friend around because you're being loyal and they're not putting in the work and they're not putting in the stuff, that's on you. Now, mind you, if you already signed a piece of paper and you gave them 10% of the company, that's fine. Just leave them off to the side and work without him. But if you keep going back and asking him to do the same thing that he hasn't been doing for the last year,
it's just gonna make you miserable.
So you got to give the work to the people who can get it done. You got to hire the right people to do the right work and the most efficient work. That's how you grow.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and not only that, but like looking at your team and seeing, what you can do for them, or also what they do for you, as far as growing as a person. So like I look at Danny, like Danny, like I tend, like he just mentioned, finding the guy who, might not be doing something after you ask him 10 times to do it. Sometimes I tend to lose motivation. Danny's that battery pack in my, my back to say like, all right, let's go with the program. I go to Basio when I need vision or creativity. I'll go to Perez when I need that, hey, listen, I just got a vent and I need that emotional support right now. You know what I mean? But my team always is going to pick me up to be the better part of myself, so that we continue this journey and grow, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? But just realizing that everybody, has a role to play.
Concise. That's extremely good question there. How do you delegate to your team when you don't have the money to pay them? Sorry. Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing. Do you have a vision? Do you have a why? When you explain your why and your vision, do people around you get excited? When I told you about pie and the vision about pie and why we're doing pie, was that exciting? Because I could have just told you we have a software where you can have your customers book your appointments, and that software is going to give you the ability to have Concise the Barber on the App Store and Google Play. Sorry, that's just not exciting. I mean, yeah, it's cool, but it's just not exciting. Exciting is the fact that we're doing it for this reason. We're doing it for this drive. This is why I wake up in the morning. This is how we're going to get there, and this is what we're going to be known for. We're not clowns in this industry. We're going to be respected. We're going to build an entire team. All you people on this live stream right now are part of our extended family. You're part of the squad because you guys are supporting us, because you're learning from us, because you're giving us feedback, because we're we're pouring out. We're not holding anything back to you guys. You guys, when you walk up to us, look at Sean from Clutch Cuts. Met him at a barber battle, right? At the CT Barber Expo.
CT, yeah.
And I mean, we could have easily done those color cards. We told him we were doing it, but that I just didn't have time to do it. He went out and did it. He was paying $5 a unit to do them. And ultimately, after he was paying $5 per unit, I was like, this kid is worth it. He got off his ass and did something. Part of my extended family. He's like, hey, can the Tomb Squad help us promote this and stuff? Yeah, we're going to help you promote it. $10 a piece. But your problem is you're paying $5 a piece. I gifted him 5,000 units. I made him and gifted him 5,000 units. I didn't pay $5 a piece. Don't worry about it. But basically, at $10 a piece, that's $50,000 that I gifted him because he's part of our extended family. Because he showed up, went to work. How do you do that? You think we told him, hey, if you do this and this, we're going to take care of you like this? No, sold him a vision. We didn't even sell it to him. We set our vision, and those people that surround you and love your vision and attracted to your vision, that's who you talk to. So you need to work on your vision, on your why. You need to properly state it. We talked about my vision last week. I'm not going to do it again. We're talking about it on the Profit Pod, so I'm not going to do it again. We can talk about it inside of the app, the Concord app. What's it called? Discord. So
Discord, yeah.
You don't have to pay somebody if you're in the same vision together. It's a lot easier, but extreme examples work. So I'm gonna say it. When you marry your wife, you don't have any money. You're young. You don't know where you're going. You don't know how you're gonna get a house. You don't know how you're gonna do things, but you have the same vision, and it's not just sex, is it? So how do you find that with other people? How do you find that in business? That's the key to building a team when you're financially strapped, because we built this team when we were financially strapped. I wasn't willing to put money into it. Basio was financially strapped. When you see people making sacrifices, you step up and make sacrifices. When you step up and make sacrifices, other people step up and make sacrifices. You start reading leadership books. You start understanding how to team build, and it's magical when it gets to that point.
Yeah, Nate.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. That goes hand in hand with where does Beam stand with. He's part of our family. That's exactly how, what made the team what it is talking to Beam and I remember the day it was at Bronner Brother, having that conversation with Beam, getting to know him and his vision, and it was in like alignment with everything that we do with Tomb 45. And Beam has always been, this is my company. Like this is how he feels. And it's not because of money or what he gets out of it, but it's because he's on board with the vision long term. He wants to be the baddest company in the industry. So I don't want to pay you if your vision doesn't align. I don't want to buy your vision. I don't want to be fake like that. And then Basio doesn't either, and Loco doesn't either. We a lot of times what we did was we flew in influencers, we flew in friends, we flew in people we met, and some of it is on vlogs, some of it isn't. The ones that didn't make it, we don't put them on there because we don't want to put them out there like that. But I mean, you see how we bring them in, and next thing you know, we're up till 3 o'clock in the morning. Of course, I'm asleep because it's past my bedtime on the couch or on the barbershop or in the barber chair. But and you see, are you excited? Do you wake up the next day excited? You're like, let's do this again. And now, next thing you know, you've got this creativity where you're feeding off each other, and Fonz and Jeezy are all working together, and you're growing together. You don't buy that. You can't buy that. You don't want to pay somebody for that. Hey, let's collab. I'll pay you $50. Oh, what? Yeah, you'll notice the right team members, the last question they ask you in an interview, they're not asking you how much money you're going to pay me. They're asking you, I feel like all the right questions, when are we doing this again? What are we doing? Yeah. What, yo, how are we going to do this when I get back home? What's the next show? I'm not here. What's the next show? Yeah. Hey, listen, I want to go help at the Tomb 45 booth. Listen, we got all the help we need. No, I'm driving over there. I'm going to be there. You guys got a couch I can sleep on, or that's how you do it. We don't pay for people to go to the shows. They show up. They become. Yeah, but I mean, we do hook people up when they do need. I mean, like there's definitely times where if we, like for example, Danny and I aren't the type of people that we get a big paycheck and we're like, yeah, let's go buy a new car or something like that. We definitely look out for everyone, and again, the vision's much bigger than a car. We talked about this with Profit Pod with our group. The one of your goals might be a car, but that's not the vision. The vision's not the car. So right, yeah, Loco.
At least not for you. The vision is definitely not a car.
The vision is to be in a position where cars don't break down on me anymore. So, in reality, one of the things that, if you're financially stable, if you know how you're going to pay your next bill, and you walk in somewhere and you have the respect of your peers, the respect of your customers, the appreciation of an industry, I'm sorry, that's just worth more than a brand new car on a day-to-day. I'm going to drive the car for a couple of hours, but the constant praise and everything, that's totally different. It doesn't matter if your customers are haircut customers or not, but that's how you build a team. You define your vision. You really think about it from a personal perspective, what your vision, what your personal objectives are. You make sure that your business objectives align with your personal objectives.
and your personal vision. And each project that you bring on to the table, it doesn't matter what the project is, it has to somehow align with your personal objective.
Yeah, and what I was gonna say earlier, Nate, just to answer that, I met these guys when I was 23, and they weren't offering to necessarily pay me. They put me in a position to make money, but they weren't necessarily paying me out of pocket to do what I was doing. But there's a lot of things that, like, I saw I could grow personally. Like, my vision back then was a car. And that was probably a cheap car. I was probably looking at a M5 or an M3 or something like that. And Bossy was like, "That's your dream car? Are you serious? Like, we need to reevaluate that, bro." But I come from, nothing. So that was my dream car. And now my goals now I got this house that's, $250,000. And now I got bigger things that I'm like, okay, I want bigger things. This house isn't big enough for me now because I want more. My business partners and my relationships, my friends, my brothers have helped me grow to want more, but they didn't pay me to do that. And I saw that was much bigger to me than, okay, $100 off rent. For that, I'd rather pay $200 of rent every week. Don't charge me that, but you know what I mean?
Write it down.
That was bigger than me. Write it down.
Yeah, write your goals down.
Absolutely.
I'm reading Start With Why right now because of y'all, and I'm seeing a lot of things y'all reference from that book. Find Your Why and Those Who Believe in Your Why.
That's it. And Philippe, this is interesting because early on, Basio would send me a book and be like, "Hey, you got to read this," and I'd read it and I'd be like, "Dude, I just read this. We had this conversation last week." Yeah, like we literally had this exact same conversation. You realize we could have written this book after our conversation last week? He's like, "Yeah, that's why it's so exciting." What? Validation. And when you're building a team, sometimes you don't realize. And what I captured from that, and what I realized from that now, as I'm maybe more mature about it, is you've got to realize that your team is at different phases, and you've got to support your team through those phases and help them through those phases. And it might be no different than teaching your kid math, your second kid math, your third kid math. I just taught 2 + 2 3 years ago. I just taught addition and multiplication 2 or 3 years ago. But every time you bring on a new team member, you got to start from zero. They're new kids, if you will. And you've got to help them grow. And you got to grow with them, because sometimes you read a book and they have a whole different perspective on it. You're like, where'd you get that? And that's really awesome. So
yeah, we're gonna go through the mailers every time we hire a new manager.
That's right.
That's a fact.
Hey, Scott. Cool, man. Enjoy the video with your family, Scott.
Oh yeah, cool. You take it easy, Scott. That is so true, bro. Oh man, that is all. Why is that always the first great idea? I got a great idea. Direct mail.
So let's talk about that really quick. One of the ways that you're going to go through growth is accepting failure. I tell people all the time, I've never seen a highlight reel of Michael Jordan's missed clutch shots. Do you know he has more missed clutch shots than he has made clutch shots?
Yeah, a lot.
Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows that because nobody cares, because they only focus on your successes, not on your failures. So you've got to accept the failures and move on. Every time we open a new barbershop, we put in a new manager. The manager eventually, within the first 90 days, comes up to us and says, "Hey, these people showed up, and I can put an ad in this newspaper, and it gets delivered to 500,000 houses, all in a 3-mile radius. And I can send out these mailers for $1.50 a piece." And we're like, "None of that works." I'm like, yeah, but look, I can start it and I can try it. Trust me, I know it's going to work, because I'm sold on this deal, and it's going to only cost us $450. All right, here's your $450. Go do it. We're going to talk in a couple months, and we're going to talk about why it didn't work. You let them fail at it, it's $450 that you're investing in your new manager, and it's happened every single new manager. Basio went through it. Loco went through it. I mean, let's start from the beginning. I went through it. Basio went through it. Who was the next one? Kevin. The next one was you.
No.
The next one was Kevin. The next one was Loco. The next one was
Loco Kevin. Yeah.
Loco. Kevin,
yeah.
So every single manager has done it, and that's okay, and we're okay with spending that money, and let them learn.
What's one thing you shouldn't do when you're building a team? One thing I definitely learned from Basio over the years is to remember that everyone is not you. So treat them as the individual they are and see what value they bring to the team. I did a lot of that where I thought I'm the type of person, I see something once, okay, I can go do it. I might make some mistakes. fix those mistakes the next time and grow from there. I kind of thought everybody in that part it'd be the same way growing, and everybody's not. And I've had to learn that as a manager and as an owner over the years, that I got to treat everybody as an individual. Everybody brings something unique to the team, and trying to how do I magnify that to get the best out of them?
Ozzy, would you say that E-Myth is one of the entry-level books for conceptualizing different roles of teams and stuff?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. For sure. So maybe take a look at E-Myth Concise. What you want to build is you don't want to. A lot of people get attracted to people who think the same. I don't want anybody on my team that thinks like I think. I'm already here. I'm already good at what I do. We don't need another Daniel here. I mean, mind you, we do at this point, because we need redundancy. We're at the point that if Danny dies, all our projects need to keep going, which is Leo. And then the Tomb Squad is our contingency plan on Basio getting hit by a bus. I mean, knock on wood, and hope that doesn't happen. But
Everybody should be knocking. Loco, knock.
Loco, everybody knock on wood.
Everybody should be knocking.
I got wood floors.
So the key is don't go to what you're attracted to. You're attracted to the same thing. You're attracted to people who think like you. You surround yourself by people who think differently, who can argue their position intelligently. And if they can argue it intelligently, at that point you can have intelligent conversations, make a decision, and move forward. Because even if it's a decision you don't agree with, if it has good logic and common sense behind it, you can't argue it unless you see the results. So you got to measure it based on results. You can get to the same destination an infinite number of ways, by turning left on this street, right on the next street, by turning right, left, by turning left, right. You can get to the same destination in many, many different ways. What matters is that you got there. Let them take their own avenue, measure the result. They didn't get there how you got there, accept it. That's the reason why you didn't hire yourself to do all this work.
Yeah. And I also, man, I wouldn't bring anybody on because it's the last resort, or it's because you're desperate. Don't bring anybody onto your team for the reasons, apart from what we've been speaking about all night. We've made that mistake in the past. So
yeah. And that comes with growth too. Sometimes you even just like the yes man thing, sometimes you might have to sit back and talk to your team. You might have to talk to your team and say, hey, look, I need you guys to challenge me. I don't want to just hear yes.
The next person that calls me dad that we cook up with, that's it. I'm banning them from all our stuff.
What the
randomly people call me dad. So like we got a bunch of people on the Tomb Squad, a bunch of the girls, a bunch of team members. They call me dad. And now
I'm at the show, dad.
Hey, yo, dad.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So I'm not that old. I'm only 42.
I was about to say you're only a couple years older than Perez.
Yeah, I can't be most of y'all's.
It's your wisdom, bro. It's your wisdom.
That's what it is. You're way beyond your years. Wisdom. And I love that everybody thinks you're white.
I like Eminem, so that means I'm white.
I like it.
I love it, bro.
So what do you guys think? How many people are on here? You guys got any questions? Was this as useful as the first one? That we talked a lot about our strategy. We didn't hold back on anything. The only thing we held back on was some customer acquisition strategies that we're going to release with Pi. But other than that, we put it all out. You guys got any questions? Do you guys get value out of this one today?
Let's see. This was good.
Carlos
I know it's good. I know it's good when we go way past the allotted time that we had.
Somebody said especially when it was all questions. We appreciate the questions. When you guys ask questions, we know that we're giving you something you're asking for, and to me, that's important. It's hard for me to stare at the camera and talk.
Carlos had a question. How do you balance growing with your spouse and family while trying to grow your first barbershop?
Oh, Carlos, man, listen. I'm going to tell you guys 2 stories really quick. Your woman in your life, or your partner, I don't care if you're gay or not, or whatever, your partner in your life it's got to be 100% supportive. We know several guys who are held back by their spouses. Mm-hmm. And that's just a shame, because these guys have so much potential. Here's a story that not everybody knows about Tomb 45 and Barber Mamayat. Barber Mamayat, the statue that he has at the University of Pennsylvania, right? University of Pennsylvania? At the University of Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
So that statue, look it up. On the statue, there's an arm a hand on his shoulder.
Yeah.
It's backwards. It's facing backwards, and it's actually the hand of his wife. And to me, the way I've always interpreted that is that behind every successful legend, there is a team. There is a wife. There is a partner. There is a team that is making it useful and making it possible, and feeding you when you get home, and maybe taking care of the shit that you're supposed to take care of, and is there to support you. At the end of the day, to me, that's a team. But in Baba Mamayet's statue, that's his wife. The original statue had his wife standing behind him with her arm extended, and her arm was on his shoulder, and it broke here, right? It broke at the wrist.
Yeah.
So only her hand is left. To me, it's not just a wife. To me, it's so much more. It's an entire team. It is the Bazios, it is the Locos, it is the Beams, it is the Perezes, it is my wife. Even though it's just a wife. So that's how you balance it. If your vision is a combined vision with your team members, and your team members includes your spouse and your family, then there is no balance. It is simply what you do every day, because you don't look at it as a balance. You look at it as together. Now, mind you, I left my career, my corporate career, where my take-home pay, my W-2 from my corporate pay was every year for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, over $200,000, $250,000, $280,000, $20,000. And I couldn't even spend it because I was always traveling. I had to leave that career because I was going to lose my family over it, because the vision was not aligned with my family. So I had to decide, do I stay in the career, or do I realign my vision in a way that it can be successful for both of us? So sometimes you align with the family, sometimes the family aligns with you, but make sure it's aligned. Otherwise, it's simply not going to work.
We love you, Danny.
What's that?
We're gonna get you back to there. We love you, bro.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys did. I don't know if you knew this, Loco. You know, I almost joined the Air Force way back.
Man.
I almost quit barber school. Justine wouldn't let me. She refused to let me stop.
Vanessa was like, "Get out the house, go."
No, but she knew how much I loved it. She knew, my vision and the barbershop thing, and she believed in me, and she kept me from doing that. So, I mean, she's always been super supportive. You guys know that. You guys know
during this whole coronavirus thing, I'm sitting here applying at jobs. You know this. I got a job. I literally just got a job at USA for $60,000. I'm like, I could take this. And she's like, that's not what you want to do, though. She's like, you're a barber. You have business. I'm like, I'm still gonna have the businesses. She's like, no, that's not what you want to do. You have bigger plans. Like, don't sell yourself short. So, hey, your partner.
This is my favorite comment of the night. This is my favorite comment of the night. Danny in marriage counseling.
We don't want me in marriage counseling.
There's a market. There's a market.
Every time I go to support, I'll give you an idea. It's probably going to be an extreme sex analogy that I'm going to use. Listen, at the end of the day, it was between my wife, and it was between my family or my career. And I did choose my family. I gave it up. So when you say, I see Josh Faded saying I'm kicking out any girl who's stunting my growth. Back then, I thought that my wife was stunting my growth. It took me a couple of years to figure out that wasn't true. And based on so many conversations I had with older men who in the corporate world would say things like, I wish I would have been around with my kids more. Now it's too late. My kids are married and I missed it. I heard that so many times that I convinced myself that I didn't want to do that. So in a sense, she helped me get to where I wanted to be. But it's not always their fault, right? It's you've got to make the decision. You've got to align it. You've got to decide what it is you want to get up and do every day. I want to be aligned every day with badass shit, and it's cool. That's what I want to do. Now, a lot of people think you can just do amazing, crazy stuff every day. Can't. There's a crazy analogy that I think I won't use because you guys already know where I'm going with that, so I'm going to leave it there. Move on.
Yeah, I think it's especially like with me and my wife, it's important. There was a time, guys, where I was gone every single weekend, sometimes every week. Like there'd be like 10-day stretches where I wouldn't be home because I was so focused on the vision. At some point, you gotta listen to your spouse. They're especially if their heart is in the right place. Yeah. But seriously, I mean, there's got to be some compromise, right? And you got to understand from their perspective why it is that they're complaining, and a lot of times it's justified, and you got to figure out, you got to put some effort towards, listening and making sure that everything
how
is
long
working.
were we on tour for? A year and a half?
Yeah, at least. Yeah, it was
a year and a half every weekend for a year and a half, easy. And I think we got asked this question every single weekend, and Bassio's best way of explaining was it's a game of tug of war. Yeah. Sometimes you pull a little bit more to the family, you gotta bring it back to work. Sometimes you pull a little too much to work, gotta bring it back to family.
That's true. I forgot about that. I was getting that question every day.
Every weekend. It was that, and when you were about to.
What's my favorite clipper? And what's my favorite clipper? Okay.
Ron, that's hilarious, Ron. That's absolutely
meet the fuckers.
Ryan, absolutely. Bass, you were obviously paying attention last week. But here's the thing with Bass. Go back to Ryan's really quick. Here's the thing with Bass. You don't get to wake up and do Bass every day. When you have a vision, I'm going to give you guys this crazy analogy about vision. Can I do it, Bobby?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So here's a story that I talk about on a regular basis. I try to say this to tell people how my vision works. I have, as part of my objectives, one of my objectives is to have a clean asshole. I know a lot of you have the same, actually the majority of you, if not all of you, have the exact same objective. And what we do to have clean assholes is we wipe our asses when we go take a shit. So, Basil's laughing. So here's the thing. I don't enjoy wiping my ass. I do not wake up in the morning and think, you know what I'm gonna do today? I'm gonna wipe some ass. It is the literal definition. I mean, the literal definition of a shit job. It is a shitty job. I mean, it does not get more literal than wiping your asshole. Yet because I want to have a clean asshole, I'm okay with wiping my ass. As a matter of fact, I do a pretty good job at it. Now, here's the thing.
Thank you.
I don't care how it gets done. When I'm around people who have clean buttholes, who don't smell like shit, I don't care if they wipe front to back, back to front, side to side. I don't care if they use wipies. I don't care how they do it. As long as it's clean and it doesn't smell, I'm good with that. If I hook up with a new chick, I'm good with it. As long as it's clean. I don't care how it got clean. So there's a couple different scenarios there. One is that badass shit requires you to do a lot of shitty work sometimes. And sometimes it's the literal definition of shit. This is the first comment from Leo, so I'm thankful that I'm getting comments from new people. The second thing is that when you want to do badass shit, a lot of times there's other work that needs to happen, which is not part of the glamour. You don't go around all excited telling people at the Walmart checkout, hey, I wiped my ass today. I'm good to go, man. It's just part of doing what you need to do in order to be successful. So it's not always amazing, but the vision remains high level, good, positive, with objectives. And that's the secret to baby wipes. Hey, Felipe, you must be a dad or a mom, because man, us parents, we know about baby wipes. Ever since then, there's always baby wipes all over the house.
The flushable ones.
At the warehouse, everywhere. Yeah. We gotta have baby wipes. But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, everybody thinks that it's all glamour and stuff. In order to have a good YouTube presence, you guys, a lot of you do know the amount of work because you watch the vlogs and stuff that Basio does. But you think he wakes up every morning and says, yes, I want to go edit for 2.5 hours today. No, that's the shit part about the job. But it is badass. It is amazingly badass.
Since this episode is about opening up a barbershop, I will tell you right now, location number 5, Lando Lakes, opening that was not badass. That was a shit job.
But it's a badass shop, though.
But it's a badass
shop. That's a mean shop. Yeah.
I'm really hoping you guys get that analogy and that you guys understand what I'm trying to say there. Because that's been key to a lot of our conversations, Bazzi. I mean, you and I have had so many times we're like, fuck, we really got to go do all that work. Fine. I mean, I'm doing a bunch of work right now that I don't want to do right before this call. And as soon as we get off this call, I'm going to go back to doing this work that I don't want to do. But it is badass. It is part of the badassery. Yeah.
That's real. That's real.
Carlos, you make a decision, man. Simply make a decision. Punch it. Make a decision. Make it for the right reasons. find out what her vision is, find out what your vision is. And if it's, you know, if there's a cost, pay it. And if there's a fix it. But don't sit around for 5 years and wonder why you wasted 5 years.
I was listening to Tom Brady on an interview with I think it was with Howard Stern, and he brought up his story. Like, everybody sees what Tom Brady is, right? Greatest football player of all time, all this stuff. But the one thing that he talked about the most in this interview was his marriage and his family, and being able to do what he did while still having a healthy relationship, being there for his kids. I mean, look at what Kobe used to do to try to be there with his kids and his family. You know, it's sad that he died from that helicopter thing, but that was his way of finding efficiencies to do it. And like, when I look at people like LeBron James, he's with his high school sweetheart, man. He's a badass individuals. These are not just highly skilled individuals, but these are leaders. These are people who raised a family, who have it all together. And I think that's the dopest thing, you know, like in life in general. How well-rounded are you? Are you like, there's so many people who are successful and don't have shit after it. Danny talked about all the people he met, the older people that he met, that they weren't even there around to see their kids grow up because they were so focused on their idea of what success is and what they think their wife thinks is successful. But there's got to be a balance, you know. So
I think also just including them. Bosco says it. We've said it all the time when we're on tour. You know, making sure that they understand the vision, that they're a part of the vision, and just communication. Yeah, they're just as much a team member as the guy who's getting busy with you making shave gel and whatnot.
And just like I told you, when you got to fire a team member because they're holding it back, you got to fire a team member. It doesn't matter who that team member is. Doesn't matter if it's family. It doesn't matter if it's a spouse. It doesn't matter if it's. I'm not saying if it's holding you back, because it's not just holding you back because their vision might be appropriate. It's when you make a decision, you got to make a decision. You got to analyze it. You got to go from that perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool, guys. So I think that's it. We're gonna wrap it up for tonight. It's been an hour and 40 minutes, but we're gonna try to do these things weekly. Obviously, if you're new to the group, please join our Discord, because we feed off of those conversations to figure out what the next topic, what the next discussion is. I like to think of Tune 45 Academy as a mentorship. You know, it's like, it's our group, it's our friends and family together, and this is how we can meet up and share our thoughts. So,
so one thing I wanna add here at the end is, you know, we're trying to make the academy grow. We're trying to make the academy grow for a couple of different reasons. One of the reasons is we want to meet more and more people that are interested in growing, because that's how we grow our team. That's how we know they have the right mindset. We want your guys' help. Tell your people to join. Tell your friends, your followers to join. And in is it May or June? In about 4 to 6 weeks. Then right now we're focusing on how to open barbershops and how to grow them. The next set of conversations after we finish this is going to be how to source your products and how to get that done. And we're going to talk about everything we went through and the growth and the fact that we've got 6 employees in China now. We have our own space in China, how we got there, how we
we've documented it. Oh man, we've got some insight, boy.
So we're going to answer your questions, whatever questions you have in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Think about them, because we're going to be answering how you can source your own product and do it the way we do it. Even how we're developing our products. If you're wondering how we manage all the details on the powered mat, all that stuff, whatever it is you want to know, if you're part of the academy, we're going to tell it to you guys.
I'm going to just say one thing though. When we do that part of the series, we got to discuss how to secure your passport. That has to be like a whole block.
Yeah, we'll have to tell that story. All right, guys. Thanks for being here.
All right, man. Thank you, guys. Appreciate everybody. All right. Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir.